Hey everybody, welcome back, and today we are doing another tutorial slash first impressions for this look right here. And I created this look with the new Wet n Wild Color Icon Tin Pan eyeshadow palette in Lights Out. And I talked about this in a previous video where I was just really, this is a brand I want to get back into. I was not impressed with their last big release of when they came out with those tin pan palettes in 2019. Just wasn't really impressed by the quality or the formulation or the branding or the packaging or anything like that. It just didn't, I just wasn't like into it. I have always been a fan of Wet n Wild. It's a very affordable, accessible brand. And when I saw these in Walmart, I was really drawn to them. So I did pick these up at Walmart for $5.99. I picked up 3 out of the 4. And again, this is just the one I was most drawn to with that beautiful green and some of these bronzy tones in here. So we definitely went all in to create a very dramatic look. I wanted to see what this palette had to offer. So if you want to see how I created this look and my first impressions of this palette, then just stick around. We're going to go ahead and get started. And since we're using Wet n Wild eyeshadows today, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and use the Photo Focus eyeshadow primer. And I'm just going to take a little bit and just apply that with my finger. Just to really smooth that out. I'm not going to apply a bunch because I did put a little bit of my foundation on my eyelid. But I want to give these shadows as much of a base as I possibly can. I'm also going to take my Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlighter and just clean up underneath my brow bone. Brows are a little out of control today, guys. Sorry, they're looking a little bushy. Just kind of clean that up and give that brow bone, because we are dealing with some very deep, dark colors today. I don't even know what time it is anymore. Does anybody even know what time it is, what day it is anymore? I never leave my house. Now in this palette, there is no brow bone shade for me. There is a very questionable transition shade in terms of just depth. So I am going to go in with Creme Brulee and my large fluff E50 brush from Sigma. And we are just going to, some people like to set their primer, some people don't. Because of the texture on my eyelids and because I don't have perfectly smooth skin, I like to set my primer because I would prefer building up a shade that maybe doesn't have as intense of a pigmentation than dealing with dragging on my eyes, just because my eyes are not perfectly smooth. So if you are younger and you have beautiful smooth eyelids, you know, you might not need to set your entire eyelid, but if you're more mature, it might be something that is beneficial to you. Let's get into this. So we are going to go into the Wet n Wild Lights Off eyeshadow palette, and I am going to start off with this shade right here, this kind of grayish taupey shade. I'm going to pick this up with my Sigma E35 brush, and we are just going to keep our fingers crossed with this. I will say that, as you can see, it's very powdery. So when I dip my brush in, there is a lot of kick up, but you're not getting a lot of pigment, and it's very powdery. It ultimately, if you take the time and put enough effort into it, this color ends up being a very beautiful and kind of unique transition on the eye. But guys, I'm telling you, this shade is kind of scared me. When I started placing this on the eye, I was a little concernicus about this eye look. So once you start building it up, it does start, you know, building on itself. I will give the shadow that. It builds on itself very nicely. But when you first apply it, it is not very promising. It is a very interesting, beautiful transition color. It is just going to, you're going to have to put the work in. And it's not going to be flattering on every skin tone. I would not think this is going to be very flattering on deeper skin tones, on warmer skin tones. This is a very, I feel like, very cool tone specific type of transition shade. So just beware. I'm gonna go back in with that E50 fluff brush and just kind of reiterate that brow bone color and kind of blend everything, and we'll build this up later if needed. Because when I talk about palettes that need a little bit more love and attention and finagling, this is, I can already tell this formula is really in that category. All right, so I am going to pick up a blending E25 brush, and we are going to go into this green over here, and it is showing up much greener on camera than it is in real life. It does show up as a deep forest kind of hunter green in real life, but not that vividly bright. I'm getting a mirror, hold on. And what we were gonna do is we are literally gonna, I'm breaking stuff all over the place. So I did just pick up this color on essentially one side of the brush. Again, this is really a powdery shade, but I'm gonna go in and pack this, focusing really on the outer V. And it does show up green on the eye. So, you know, that's definitely a plus. It shows up green on the eye. When you start blending it, you do lose that color. And it's looking pretty vivid and pretty on the eye. I do feel like I have to build this up quite a bit, because when I start blending this out, and I have to start building this up or blending this out, the color does start to dissipate and get a little patchy, and I am getting a little bit of fallout right here. So what I did is I really took my time and blended out this shade, and then I went back in and just added more color to blend everything out, or to build it up, I'm sorry. Taking this all the way over. And I'm having to dip back into this color quite a bit. I'm getting more fallout on this eye than I was on the other eye, and that could just be me. I'm just gonna go in with my Wet n Wild fluffy brush, and I'm with no product on it, and I'm just gonna kind of blend everything out. I am gonna pick up another Sigma E25 brush, and we are gonna go into this black shade right here. And this is not a deep dark black shade. I want to say it's almost like a cool kind of browny black, just because I want that outer V to be very, very dark. We kind of went all in with this palette. I really wanted to test out some of these more dramatic shades. And I did get fallout with this black shade. Not a crazy amount, but just enough to where I would suggest doing your face makeup last after your eyeshadow. And I'm just going to kind of start blending this out. See how just, it's not wanting to blend. So it's just, you're going to have to put a lot of work in. I'm going to go back in with that E35 E35 tapered blending brush again, and I'm going to go back in with that initial transition shade and just start working on the blend that I want. That's kind of the look that I'm wanting right there. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go back in again with that E50 fluff brush, and again just kind of calm down that gray color. And I'm going to just kind of clean up underneath my eye right there. And this is a great kind of using these kind of eraser, these skin tone shades, whatever that skin tone shade might be for you, to kind of erase if you go too high, if you go too low. It's just kind of a great, shades like this, if you find a good one in your skin tone, is just a great tool to have in your arsenal. All right, so so the green is showing up. It is showing up, so I can't be mad about that, but I really wanted it to pop and kind of be I wanted this look to be a green look. So there are two pressed glitter shades in this palette. This one right here and this one right here. I don't know if they're technically pressed glitters, but they're kind of this flaky, shimmery shades. And they are pretty. One has a very kind of pink turn to it, and one has, the lower one kind of has a browny green gold turn to it. So we're going to use this one right here. We're going to use this shade right here to pop over that green to really make it pop and make it just kind of a bright in your face, more in your face type of green. And I'm going to treat this shade like I would any other shade. I'm going to go in with just a flat shader brush and pick it up. It is very, very flaky, very much like the shade that I used in the Vintage Glam palette from Lorac. It's already got a big dip in it from using it on just 2 eye looks, so you're going to be losing a lot of product because it is such a flaky shadow and you really have to dig into it to get some impact. I'm going to wet down my brush with a setting spray, water, whatever you have, it doesn't matter. And then what we're going to do is just start painting this over that green color for the inner 2/3 of the eye. And it does create a really, really pretty effect on the eye. Like, it's really gorgeous. Like, these shades, a lot of people don't like them because they're so flaky. You do have to take the extra steps of wetting your brush, packing it on. But once you get them on the eye, the effect is beautiful. And they do have a lot of impact. And they're really transformative in terms of what shades you have on your eye. Just know they're going to be more work. And there's a shade like this in the Revealed 2 palette that I absolutely love, that I've almost hit pan on because it's so flaky and there's so much fallout with it, but it's so gorgeous on the eye that I just don't even care, and I love that shade. So these aren't a negative for me, these types of shades. I just really want to have full disclosure on the amount of work you're going to have to do with a shadow like this. I don't look at those as a negative in the palette. I just want to let you know that that's the kind of work you're going to have to put into really making those shadows look beautiful on the eye, which they are. They don't look like much in swatches, but they're beautiful on the eye. I'm going to pick up my E25 that I had the green shadow on. I'm not going to have any more product on it, but I'm just going to kind of do the pat and wiggle. Just with any product I have left, just kind of blend that in. So you see how pretty that looks? I think that looks really, really pretty on the eye. It's just, like I said, it's just a pain in the butt shadow to use, but the end effect is worth it for me. Alright guys, so for the lower lash line, I don't want to get too dramatic, but again, I do want this to be a green look and really emphasize that green color. So we're going to go underneath the lower lash line with the NYX Faux Blacks in Black Olive, just to give that green shadow a little bit of help. And I'm not adding a whole bunch on there. I kind of just went lightly underneath just to give that green shade something to hold on to. I'm now going to go back into that green shade with my E20 short shader from Sigma, and we're just going to kind of stamp that green shade over the Black Olive liner. Because these shadows are so dramatic and deep, we don't want to go down too far. So keep it really tight to the lower lash line. And if it's not perfect, that's fine, because we're going to blend it out anyway. Okay. All right, guys, and now my favorite under eye brush. I love it. Guys, if you can't seem to find a brush that works for you for the under eye, go to Coastal Scents and get the BRC S06. I have like 6 of them. I love this brush. The shape is perfect. It's soft. So it's soft, but it's got a nice dome shape, but it's pinched, so it's a nice precision fluffy brush to really get underneath the eye, be gentle with that delicate skin area, and just kind of contain what you're trying to do so you're not getting raccoon eyes. I can't tell you how much I love this brush. I've loved it for years. But we're gonna go back into that taupey transition shade with that brush, and then we're just gonna start blending this out. I'm going to take a little bit of black with that same brush and just really pat that along the lower or the outer V, and just kind of blend it up and down, because I just am not getting the depth I want. And then one more time, I'm just going to go in with my E50, my fluffy brush, and just soften everything up. My camera does not want to focus today. I am not moving, guys. All right, to reiterate that green again, I'm going to go in with my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Rocky Mountain Green, which is just a beautiful, deep Kelly to Forest green. It's like right in the middle there. I'm going to take my trusty BH Cosmetics pencil brush, and we're going to go into this really pretty light champagne-y gold shade right here. The shimmers are not blowing my socks off, but you know, they're pretty. They're decent drugstore shimmer shades. All right, guys, I'm going to go put on mascara and some lashes, and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, so this is the finished look. So I'm very happy with the finished look, I'm kind of just looking in my mirror right here with the results. I did manage to get these shadows to blend. It took a lot of work. And I think that for the price, you know, it used to be, well, it's a drugstore eyeshadow palette, you're only paying $6, you know, you should expect to have to work a little bit more. And I just don't think that argument cuts it anymore. I think there are so many beautiful, affordable shadows out there when you look at companies like Profusion especially, that this is just e.l.f. e.l.f. is coming out with some great stuff, that this is just not cutting it anymore for me. Is the color story on this beautiful? Yes, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Can you get a look out of this that you really, really like? I really like this look. I like the way it turned out. I'm happy with it. Did I have to work harder than I like to work to get there? Yeah, I think, is it going to be more labor intensive than the average makeup buyer is really going to want to have to deal with? Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. I think the results are beautiful, but I think you really have to weigh, you know, do I want to spend $6 on a palette I'm really going to have to work at and work with, or do I want to spend $5 on a smaller Profusion palette, or a couple dollars more and get a big Profusion palette? You know what I mean? I just think when you have this level and this expectation of people who have been using Wet n Wild eyeshadows for a long time, of walking the old school trios, the old school 8 pans, you know, Comfort Zone was like the gold standard for the drugstore. And I just don't think they've reached that. I don't think they've achieved that since those palettes went away. So I do like the palette. Would I be reaching for this one again? I don't know, maybe. I've got so many eyeshadows that this is not, like I said, it's not blowing my socks off. So, you know, why would I reach for that when I have so many amazing eyeshadow palettes in my collection? I am still interested to try out the other ones. You know, maybe this one is, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad, guys. It's not bad. It's just not, it's not the Wet n Wild that I know and love and think of. You know, like I said, Comfort Zone. Blue had me at hello. It's just not that. So again, I got a look that I really enjoy out of it. I want to say this palette was probably easier to use than the Dark Magic palette from the Jaclyn Hill Vault. When I think of another green palette that I've created looks for that I really like, I do. Again, these types of shades right here, if you're somebody that you don't have a lot of eyeshadow, you are going to have to really dig into these shadows to create and get an impactful look on the lid. So if you're looking for something that's going to be just an everyday palette that's going to last you, even if you're gentle with your shadows, you're going to go through these types of shade pretty quickly, even if you're gentle with them. The other shimmers in here, like this shimmer right here, is not very impressive. Let me just, you know, I mean, it's not bad, but the Maybelline Expert Wear Silver is 100 times better. It's got, you know, the mattes don't feel terrible, but they're just not impressing me, guys. It's just not impressing me. It looks really good when you know, on the fingers, but then when you swatch it out, they're powdery. They feel a little bit drier. I mean, it's just, you're not getting the pigmentation. You're not getting the impact that I'm used to from this brand. So overall, I'm disappointed with this palette. You know, again, you kind of have to take it with what your priorities are. If you're looking for something easy and pigmented and just super quick and easy, is this going to be it? No. If you're somebody that likes this color combination and this color story, and you're not afraid to get in there and really get an eyeshadow to work and make it work, you'll like it, and you'll be able to get looks that you enjoy out of it. I think it is a little bit limiting in terms of the colors you can create, just because there are these beautiful warm tones in here, but then your only transition shade is kind of this cool taupey color. So, you know, I wish they had replaced probably this shade right here, this kind of matte, with either this matte that has glitter in it, or this, you know, kind of silvery shade with a warmer transition. I think that probably would have really upped the level of this palette. But again, it is what it is. I think, unfortunately, when you talk about Wet n Wild nowadays, you're kind of talking, you know, you're kind of getting what you pay for, which is a total change in the narrative. So I am going to be trying the other palettes I got. I did get 5 out of 6 of the 5 pans. I did get 2 more of these 10 pans. So I will be trying those out because I don't want to, you know, just make a flat out decision about this release. But this palette, not my favorite. Not my favorite. Like I said, I really enjoy the look. I think it's really pretty, but it definitely needed a lot of love and a lot of help to get there. So just be aware of that. You see how hard it is for me to talk negatively about these brands that I have an emotional attachment to. But, you know, like I said, I'm trying to give you an honest, open, forthright perspective on these shadows. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope if, you know, even if you aren't going to get this palette, if you like this look, maybe you can go to another green palette in your collection and create this look. So I hope, you know, maybe you got something positive out of this review. As always, guys, thank you so much for hanging out and talking about makeup with me. Let me know your thoughts below. Are you interested in this palette? Are you interested in anything else with this new release? Let me know. I want to hear your thoughts and your perspective on this. But as always, guys, thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day. Have a rockin' week, and I will see you next time.